subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Namaste, konnichiwa. Welcome to the Nupur Show. And today we have a very special guest who actually, I was waiting to have him on my show. And today is the day. So welcome to Nupur Show, Anandji.
Thank you so much, Nupur, and I apologize for the delay in coming to your show. I've been watching your show for more than a year now, in fact, and really enthralled by the lovely guests that we get on. So it's really a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words. Actually, definitely, we keep seeing you every evening almost on different debate. So now my question will start that for the viewers, I would like to say definitely Anandji doesn't need any introduction. उनको किसी introduction की जरूरत नहीं है, इसलिए मैंने introduction दिए बिना ही शुरू कर दिया कि time का पूरी तरह उपयोग हो सके. So, Anandji, you are an author, scientist, you write for different media, and definitely every evening we can see you on different debates. So, what that you don't do? क्या नहीं करते आप?
I haven't acted in a film, and I haven't directed a film, so I think that's possibly my next challenge.
Wow! तो अगर कोई director देख रहा होगा, definitely, the next thing he or she is going to cast you, definitely. So
but there is a problem there because for that I have to get as fit as Tiger Shroff, and that kind of scares me.
No, not at all. There are different kind of roles,
different kind of roles.
Yeah. Today's OTT platform, like even you can do a lot of things, right? So you don't have to. You are already fit. How did you lose weight so much?
Well, I was, let's put it this way, I was forced to exercise. I've never exercised in my life. So, but I think it's good.
It's good. It's very good. Exactly. So for the youth, for the youth of, especially for India, I would like to ask you that, youth always complains that we don't have time. We don't have time. So you do so many things. आप कितना कुछ करते हैं, लेकिन how do you manage time? अगर आप especially Indian youth के लिए बोलना चाहेंगे तो that would be, you'll be grateful.
Yeah, well, first of all, you are in a land which is absolutely particular about keeping time, Japan. So, I think it's like carrying coal to Dhanbad, explaining the benefits of how to use time. But I think the bottom line is, first of all, I don't do a lot of things, to be honest with you. I think my philosophy, which is possibly not very different from a lot of other people's philosophy, is if you do what you truly love, then you will always, find time for doing it. I think it's as simple as that, because I've seen people doing a lot of things that they don't take interest in, especially their day jobs, 9 to 5. They're struggling to fill that time up. And then as a result, they get a bit bored after 5, and then they don't know what to do. And I mean, it kind of percolates from there. But the bottom line is, whatever you do, only do things that you love with a passion. Not for any ulterior motive or any interest, and then you would really start enjoying it, and you would start to take up new challenges. I always take up new challenges. For example, I didn't know that I could write. Even now, I don't know whether I'm a decent writer, but the fact of the matter is I took that up as a challenge. And I think whatever challenge you take, and I'm not preaching or being patronizing to anyone, I'm as a jack of all trades as anyone else. I'm not a master of any trade, but I think you, whatever job you take up, as a challenge, you have to do it almost to perfection. Otherwise, there's no point doing it. You have to be really ruthless. You have to really work hard at it. There's no point just doing it for doing sake. So if you have to become a writer, then you have to read a lot before you, venture into that field. You just can't as Naipaul said, there is no such thing like a progeny in writing. Writing is based on one's experiences and a lot of reading. So yeah, I think bottom line is to the youth is that whatever you do it out of sheer passion and interest in what you're doing.
And here, actually, since you said so many things about like you love everything, I think you do, since you said like you have to love everything, whatever you do. So, have you planned that way that you'll be writing, you'll be doing debate, you'll be, a scientist, you'll be playing your role as a scientist? Like, have you planned when you were in your 20s or 30s?
No, actually, I had, except for the bit about being a scientist, I had not planned anything, and that also because my family, is a scientific family. Both my parents were scientists, so I think that I knew from early on that I'm going to be in science. So I think that bit helped. But other than that, I think I progressively took up challenges. So, for example, when I started reading great writers, then of course that urge comes that can I write a little bit like them, or let me test myself. And so I think around 2000, I think 90, it was 2000. I think the beginning of 2000. I I thought why not give it a try. But then I very quickly realized that in order to write, I have to read a lot. So for the next almost 10 years. Yes, 2010 it was. I actually read. I only read a lot of great books and fantastic authors and writers and philosophers. And then I kind of said, gathered the confidence कि हाँ अब मैं लिखने के काबिल हूँ. I can kind of aspire to be a decent writer. So in around 2010, then I wrote my first book, and then I started writing, weekly articles on various things, including a lot of satire and sarcasm and things of that sort, humor, science, everything. So, and whatever I did it with a passion, not for money or anything like that. So I was in the public eye from 2012, 2011 onwards, and I have been there. And I realized that if you have chosen to be in the public eye as a writer, as a journalist, so many people are, then you have to really practice. You have to work hard. You can't just be unprofessional about it. You can't just say blurt out your views without having thought them through. So I make it a point, and you talked about debates and all. I think that's completely accidental. There's so many people who are in the public eye who say their peace of mind. But I think one thing that I've learned even in this debating thing that I come on is that people expect honesty from anyone who is putting views in public, and they can pick out within a split second, whoever is not being honest. Because I could do that, and you can make it out immediately. So that is my only rule, and when I speak in public, is to be so ruthlessly honest that people may hate my views. Even people who love me, or who love otherwise, they love my views. They may hate my views on a particular subject, but then they would always have in the back of the mind that look, there is honesty. He's saying what he's thought it through, and he's saying what he feels. And I might not agree with that, but he's being honest, and so I take that job extremely responsibly. To come on to television and to express your views, first of all, is an honor. It is an honor. Not many people get it, so I'm very humbled by that people choose me to listen to me, and I take it very, very seriously. I prepare for every debate. I ask the topic 3 or 4 hours in advance, and then I write everything down, so that kind of concretizes what I'm going to say, and then I repeat it. So in that process, 60-70% I know already. Plus a lot of verses I have memorized by heart, so that goes with the territory. So again, I think the point, Nupur, is that you have to be very, very honest when you are in the public eye, because otherwise, people don't they won't mind you being dishonest. They will just slot you as a politician or someone carrying an agenda, which is fine. A lot of people are, you know. And then people say, what you do is very clever, is very difficult. I said, no, it's quite exactly the opposite. What I do is so simple that I just say what is in my mind. The real clever bit are done by the politicians and the spokespersons. To give you an example, I mean, you had the farm laws that were enacted by Prime Minister Modi, and for 1 year, BJP and its politicians and all its spokespersons were going on and on about how beneficial these farm laws are going to be, and including, I mean, I said, of course, I was for them. And then suddenly, I think November 19, 2021, Modi ji repealed those farm laws. I was scathing. I mean, I was really outraged at him having done it. So it was a simple thing because I was supporting them for 1 year, rationally, logically. And one fine day he says, "Well, I am repealing them." And I said, "What the hell? You can't do it." So the real clever bit was not what I was outraging, was by Sambit Patra and Vijay, because then they had to, kind of say that no, this is a good decision. For 1 year, you are saying implement farm laws, and it's a great decision. Suddenly, Modi ji repeals it, and then you're left, in the lurch saying, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" So those are the clever people who are still, finding logic in defending the indefensible. So I keep it very, very simple.
Exactly. So you do what you believe in and with honesty, 100% honesty. I think that is the reason people like you and they respect you, especially the respect actually which you earn from the people.
No, I don't know about that, but I
Yeah,
think I think it's, as I said, I take this responsibility very seriously because it's not just putting my views. It is, saying what sometimes needs to be said. And all these things are the leftist trope about democracy is in danger, and there is stifling of views and all that. Well, I'll be very honest. I have been very scathing. You pick up any policy that the logically and rationally the opposition has, outraged against Modi's policy, and I've done it even before it. But the irony is, on most of the critical issues that needed outraging on, that you needed to outrage that this government is doing wrong, were actually all the issues that the opposition was supporting the government traditionally. I mean, you look at, for example, privatization. The opposition is against privatization, right? The opposition is for public sector units. The opposition was for farm laws, and when suddenly the farm laws were repealed, the opposition took a U-turn, and so
against.
all the things that this government is doing wrong, the opposition is supporting. So that is how you out their agenda. That means they're playing politics. They don't have India's interest at heart.
Exactly, exactly. You're very right. And you put those points very logically, and people really understand. So we really need people like you, in India, and we are grateful for that. But my question here, again, for the youth, I'd like to go back to youth that you did your education, most of the education, PhD, everything from Cambridge.
Yeah.
And most of the time, our youth, when they go abroad, they don't like to come back to
Sorry
India.
to sorry to interrupt you. This is the fifth time you're saying your message for youth, and you right. I am also youth. Please don't.
No, I'm
Or do
talking
you
about
think
who are
do
actually
you,
starting their career like 20s.
if Rahul Gandhi is a youth icon, मैंने क्या बिगाड़ा है? मेरे को क्यों तोड़ा? As the meme goes. No, no, just joking. Sorry, please carry on. Please carry
सही बात है. Is the youth icon? आप भी है youth icon.
on. Oh, I'm a youth icon. Please don't insult me, Nupur.
It's not. If Rahul Gandhi can be, definitely you are too. तो यहीं पे हम लोग
Sorry.
मतलब वो जो आपने वो यूथ पकड़ लिया डिबेट में, वही आपका सब कुछ अच्छा लगता है कि ऐसे ही पकड़ लेते हैं आप लोग. तो एक्चुअली हम हमेशा देखते हैं, फिर से मैं यूथ नहीं बोलूंगी, जो स्टूडेंट्स.
No, no, please carry on. Sorry, my intention was not to
नहीं नहीं,
stop you from,
जो
saying
स्टूडेंट्स
youth,
बाहर
but
जाते हैं ज्यादातर
right.
वहीं पे सेटल हो जाना या वहीं पे काम करते हैं, या पीएचडी किया फिर इंडिया वापस आए. सो व्हाई डिड यू टेक दैट डिसीजन?
Yeah, I think for me, it was not an issue of, I think that was never an issue. And to be very honest with you, I'm not absolutely against a scientist settling anywhere, or for that matter, anyone anywhere, and contributing to society. Because, this thing about you need to come back to India and contribute to India, and I don't quite believe. First of all, I don't, technically, I am an Ethiopian. I don't see myself as, because genetically, if you look at it, we are all descendants of Lucy, that three and
Exactly.
a half million year old. So I take pride in the fact that Indian civilization, our culture, also, nowadays trumpeted rightly so by Prime Minister Modi, believes in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The world is a family. So as you are in Japan and you're doing wonderful work, you're helping India, Indian society. You're doing a lot of things that are contributing towards world as a whole and India in general. So I have never castigated anyone who decides, a scientist who decides to settle abroad. I think so. But in my case, I think things happened in my family that I decided to work on a particular disease and things of that sort, and that was the trigger in coming back. So I came back and I started working on tuberculosis, and I worked on it. I still am working on it, but it's been 20 years. My father had tuberculosis, and that kind of triggered it. And my initial training was in chemistry, and then I switched to biology. We all make mistakes, but now I've learned a little bit of biology as well. So it's been fun, but I was never particular that everyone should come back to India to contribute to India. Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at science per se, uh, overwhelming majority of the technology or technological advances that we have Indians have benefited from have come from abroad, and most of them have been contributed largely by Indians and non-Indians. And also, I see science as a family. Science should not have boundaries. 99% of the drugs that Indians take and we survive have been developed, by non-Indians. Does that mean that so there is no nationalism as far as science is concerned? It should be without boundaries, and Indians should be free to work anywhere. In Japan, a lot of Indians, a lot of my friends are working in Japanese universities and doing phenomenal work, absolutely phenomenal work. So I can't quite put my finger on it, but uh, I know it's cliche, fir bhi dil hai Hindustani, but I never felt at home abroad. I never. I was there for 8 years, saying 8.5, 9. I can't remember now, but I always, uh, I never did feel at home. I've written about it. In fact, it is something that tugs you. It's that intangible.
Yeah, as you said, फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तानी, तो हम वहीं पे वापस जाते हैं।
Yes,
चाहे साल में एक बार या दो बार हो, हम भी जाते
correct.
हैं।
Yeah.
तो आनंद जी, जैसे हमने शुरुआत किए थे कि इतने सारे काम आप करते हैं, इनमें से आपको अगर चॉइस दिया जाए कि यू कैन डू ओनली वन वर्क, यू कैन चूज वन,
Mm.
व्हिच वन इट वुड बी?
Science. It would be science.
इट वुड बी साइंस।
Because yeah, and I mean, I've thought this through because many people have asked me this. Um, I think the reason for that is that, a lot of people believe philosophy, intellect, intelligence is to do with, something that takes a long time, something that, you must write a book, a tome of 2,000 pages in order to be recognized as an intellectual or, as a brilliant man or a thought or something like that. Science doesn't work like that. You know, what I find beautiful in science is that you, you're constantly thinking about, ideas. Your mind is always in a state which is fermenting, new thoughts. Half of them may not work out. Half of them may be silly or irrational, illogical in the scientific sense. But the joy is in trying it out. And it is one spark. I mean, if you talk of literature, you never commend a writer. I mean, now of course we live in a Twitter world, so one tweet can be a brilliant, and there have been brilliant tweets. I've really sometimes I look at some of the tweets and say, oh my God, I should have thought of it. Such genius writing tweets, the aesthetics of it, the framing of the sentence, the rhythm of it. So yes, but I'm talking historically. you would never commend a writer, especially a prose writer, for writing one page. You normally say, look, his body of work, 10 novels, 15 novels, or at least a book, brilliant book. But in science, it is that one spark, one idea that can be breathtaking, that can change the world. And that is what excites me. So I think, and again, I've written about this as well, that we must change. I mean, this notion that we have of, intellectuals, that they have to be constantly writing and talking and, the body of work. So that's all complete rubbish. There are millions of intellectuals. Someone who's tweeting some brilliant idea is an intellectual in my book. And science is like that. And I always never fail to give that example of Carrie Mullis, who got the Nobel Prize for inventing the polymerase chain reaction, which now runs molecular biology and biology. And he got this idea while he was stuck in a traffic jam going to meet his girlfriend in California. And before this, he had done only one publication as a student. Then he went back and he figured out the mechanism for doing this amplifying DNA, and he published it, and he got the Nobel Prize for it. Just one idea how to do it. And when he did it, all those enzymes that are required for polymerase chain reactions were, the heat sensitive, resistant enzyme, nothing was there. He did it in a very primitive fashion. I mean, if you read his paper, absolutely stunning. So it's just the idea, and that is what kind of is almost like a addiction. So for 20 years you're studying something in science, and then one fine day you get an idea which is totally unrelated to your field, but you want to learn on that and you're excited by it. And so that is what excites. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So even before November 26, we saw that हमारे एक एक्टर ने एक्ट्रेस ने कुछ ऐसे कह दिया जो पूरे देश को काइंड ऑफ हर्ट, इट डिड हर्ट अस. तो आपको लगता है कि ये लोग जानबूझ के करते हैं या जस्ट मॉक करने के लिए करते हैं या लाइमलाइट में आने के लिए करते हैं? मतलब बिहाइंड दैट क्या रीजन होगा?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, Nupur. I think some of them truly believe that even bad publicity is good publicity, as they say, as the jargon goes. So they truly believe just to be in the public eye, you can say whatever you want, you can dress up howsoever you want, and there are actors who dress up outlandishly, and they come in news. In fact, the same actor sometimes he doesn't dress up at all, and again he comes in news. I'm talking of, I think, Ranveer. So he wears outlandish clothes when he comes in news, and he decides to not wear anything and he comes in news against FIR. So they want to be always in news. There's a bit of that. But I think I think lately there is this trend of, and I think it's to do with, and I did comment upon that. I was also hurt because what I find is this, Modi hatred, which is real. A lot of people hate Modi, which is fine. I mean, why should I defend Modi? A lot of people hate me. Modi doesn't come to defend me. But other than that, you want to hate anyone, see. But what the problem that comes is that it is almost becomes you become psychotic. It starts to play inside you because Modi ignores you. Modi doesn't give a damn rat's ass about your hating him. वो तो मजे ले रहे हैं. वो तो इनफैक्ट कहते हैं कि मुझे हर रोज 2.5 किलो गाली, मैं as a nutrition I have it. The other day, his comment was that it's very nutritional. ये 2.5 किलो में गाली खाता हूँ. So he's enjoying it, and that further kind of irritates these people. So it's a vicious cycle, and you start. I mean, there's so many people. There are people in UK, the writers have completely gone deranged in hating. Then the next stage is problematic. That Modi hatred transmogrifies into India hate. You can't see that line anymore. So Richa is she hates Modi, his policies and all, which is absolutely fine. Maybe Modi, if he has seen Richa's film, he would probably say, "Oh my God, I hate her film more than anything else." But that's a person's individual right, And if Modi is in public eye, everyone should be free to criticize him and even hate him. The problem comes when that line has been blurred by people like her. So it very quickly goes into I mean, that those three words are very hurtful, because, and then her explanation was even more bizarre, trying to say that, no, I was not hating the army. I mean, what do you mean by Galwan says hi? I mean, was it Modi's fault that 20 soldiers were killed? No. They were intruders who came in, and that's an undefined LAC, as was also, proclaimed by all those people who were saying that Chinese entered into our territory and all that. That before 2014, they were saying that 600 kilometers of this LAC is undefined. So China defines it their way, we define it our way, and this is so. In fact, they were saying Galwan is in Chinese territory or something like that. Those same commentators who are now saying Galwan. But the fact of the matter is, 20 soldiers died, and it was a supreme sacrifice because by law, that was again a courtesy Rajiv Gandhi government. Our soldiers on the LAC are not allowed to carry guns or weapons. I don't know whether you knew that. So even I didn't know that.
I didn't know
So
that.
the fact, yeah. So it was a hand-to-hand combat, and they were facing clubs with wrapped with barbed wires and iron rods and pelted with stones and all that, and they took down 45 Chinese soldiers, before they perished. So this, just to say mockingly, Galwan says hi as if it was this government's doing or Modi's government doing, or I think it was her. She should just have said, "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said these words because they are being, I don't think they are being. We are misconstruing them. I think it was just horrible choice of words, and she was denigrating the Indian army and the sacrifice of the Jawans. Let's be very honest with that. And incidentally, मेरे को दोनों तरफ से मेरी पिटाई हो रही है because then Akshay Kumar rightly jumped in and he criticized what Richa said very politely. But it was the first time a top-notch Bollywood star had
Actor.
criticized one of yeah. In fact, it used to be the other way around. If you remember Jaya Bachchan,
Yes.
she castigated someone on the floor of the house by saying, "How dare you talk against one of your own?" अपनी थाली में छेद कर रहे हो. So they,
हाँ.
so yeah, so the whole thing about this is like a incestuous club. You dare not talk about one of our own, even if they are wrong. So Akshay broke that and he talked about it. And then people started trolling him, saying that, "Oh, you're a bloody Canadian, and how dare you talk about India and you Canadians, that stuff." So, and I tweeted on that is that Akshay Kumar does not hold an Indian passport. He's not an Indian citizen. But then why is he running the wire and commenting on Indian affairs? That was obviously sarcastic because I know Akshay is not running the wire, but the wire is run by a guy who is not a citizen.
An Indian.
And he's an American. So, but they are free to criticize India. But Akshay is Canadian, he can't. So, वो लोगों ने गलत ले लिया. So, in fact, just right now, this morning, I've had to clarify किया that that was a sarcastic tweet.
मैं
वो
वही
just
सोच
told
रही थी
about.
कि आपने लिख दिया, आपको समझ नहीं पाए लोग. इतने सारे comments कि who are you saying that Akshay loves the army. Oh my God, ये लोग समझ नहीं पा रहे. तो आपको दोनों तरफ से पिटाई हुई है.
दोनों तरफ से, which I'm quite used to. Yeah.
I can totally understand, as you said, that very honestly you say whatever you believe in, you say. Even the Nupur Sarwa case, I think you were the only one just stood by her. And
No, a lot of people have stood by her. A lot of people, and I'm very grateful for that. A lot of people have stood by her. Very few in the government. I think barring one or two. In fact, that too initially, I think Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, his wonderful friend, he's a BJP spokesperson. He was one who initially, said something that needed to be said. But then it's terribly sad what the BJP has done. Her own party, her own friends, they threw her under the bus. And it was just absolutely awful. And then what happened after that was that, people noticed these things. And I think because BJP did that to to its own, the Supreme Court kind of jumped in and went one further and did something really awful and had their comments on Nupur and that you have set fire to the country and you are responsible for the beheading of Kanhaiya Lal Bhai. So it's just awful, and I think it also stems from the fact that we've now, as a society, the last political party. I mean, you expect the Congress to be scared, especially of Islamists and jihadis. But you don't expect BJP and Modi and Shah to be scared because they have come up, they have won a lot of support for saying what needs to be said. But I think वही होता है ना politics में आके you start treading very cautiously कि मुझे यहाँ से एक वोट मिल रहा है, so let me placate it. That kind of thing creeps in. You start
Exactly.
gathering votes rather than worrying about what needs to be said.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's really tragic because we are at an inflection point. As a
True.
country, we are at an inflection point because people are looking up to a lot of people, and if they feel fear and trembling, then it will only go one way. And you've
True.
seen now from that example itself, Nupur, who mainly scored, just her fault was she quoted the Islamic scriptures that incidentally Zakir Naik also did. But how can people, threat to behead Nupur for quoting what Zakir Naik said? I mean, it's so bizarre, it's absurd. So the BJP least they could do was to have said very politely, come out, if not castigated those idiots who were going after Nupur, to say what she said is in the scriptures. They could have said that, someone higher up, but they didn't do it. So it's
True.
gone the other way. Now, even people who say that I support Nupur, they are being beheaded. You've seen they're being attacked and all that stuff. So the society, it waits. It waits for messaging. It waits for messages. And if they don't come, if honest messages don't come in time, then great havoc can be wreaked.
True.
And you
So,
see how a tiny country like Qatar almost
yeah,
bullied us. To be honest, it's really shameful. It's a shameful chapter.
very much. सो उसके बाद ही मैं इंडिया गई थी तो मेरा सेशंस था बहुत सारे जगह में और मुझे कोई नुपुर तिवारी नहीं बुलाया हर जगह पे मुझे नुपुर शर्मा बुलाया गया है
Okay, yeah.
तो आई
So,
वाज
in fact, another friend, Nupur Junjunwala, is also facing the same thing. People mistake her for that. She gets a lot of threats because they mistake her for Nupur, and it's really terrible. And you've seen what happened with Salman Rushdie. It is so. And let me be very honest with you. I completely hate this word blasphemy because I don't believe in blasphemy. But if at all someone committed this blasphemy, if you read the satanic verses, and if you know what Salman Rushdie did, yes, you can say that some Muslim can say, yes, what he's saying is very egregious to me, insulting. So, but here, Nupur, your namesake was quoting the scriptures. How is that blasphemous? And it's so bizarre, but you can't tell them. That's the
हाँ
problem.
वही तो
So,
हाँ
it's absurd. But then we also have a choice. We can either ignore it, we can cow down, or we can say what needs to be said. So, I think it is a shame that the BJP and those politicians who say that, oh, we will say whatever we want to say. Incidentally, now they have bent down so much that they started believing that terrorism has no religion. Same people, who used to say that terrorism has religion. So this is what happens. You start कि ये 2 वोट मुझे वहां से मिल रहे हैं, let me not annoy them. 3 वोट यहाँ से मिल रहे हैं, and in the process, you become dishonest. You start rationalizing your dishonesty. You start justifying it. You say, oh, you did the correct thing. And then you annoy the people who genuinely feel, who loved you. So, and that is what is happening.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली तो हम थोड़ा सा यहाँ से मूड को लाइट करना चाहेंगे और हम जानना चाहेंगे कि आप हमेशा 30 सेकेंड लेते हैं लेकिन 1 मिनट बोलते हैं उसके पीछे क्या है
In fact, this itself is very embarrassing. I've never asked for 30 seconds in any domain. Let me clarify that. But the problem is that even though it is a 1 hour long debate, 8 to 9 or 9 to 10, so there is ample time. There are at most 4 panelists. So each panelist can get easily 10 minutes to speak. But I don't know how it transpires every single time. I don't get more than 2.5 minutes. And my worry is that because I prepare for the debate, I prepare for the points. I want the world to know at least my point of view, not saying that I'm right and you're wrong, but at least hear me out completely. तो उसमें एटलीस्ट 2.5 मिनट तो मुझे लगता है वो 2 मिनट के बाद एंकर दे स्टार्ट गेटिंग अ बिट itchy and so this 30 seconds is only to kind of tell them stop कि मुझे 30 सेकंड और दे दो प्लीज बोलने दो if they don't interrupt me or if they don't preempt me then they themselves would realize that I actually do not take more than 2.5 or 3 minutes at max. So ये 30 seconds वाला पता नहीं कहाँ. It's very embarrassing. अभी I was in Jaipur for Jaipur Dialogues, and everyone was saying, please give me 30 seconds. It's like, oh my God.
अच्छी बात
So
है, मतलब people are taking
Navita
30
is
seconds.
you know,
So it is kind of tagline, 30 seconds.
it has become a tagline. But I would never have said it had I not been put on the edge that look, I'm going to come in now. You can't even have 30 seconds in an hour-long debate. I mean, so if, for example, if 4 panelists, each gets 3 minutes to speak, that's like 12 minutes. You still have 48 minutes. So the anchor can speak for 48 minutes if the anchor wants. तो लोगों को 3-4 मिनट तो देने चाहिए.
Exactly, that's true, that's true. तो आप पूरा मतलब वहां पे ऑनेस्टली जो आपके दिल में है आप बोल देते हैं, मुझे बस 30 सेकंड दे दो, मैं आपको 1 मिनट कर दूंगा.
Sometimes it is 30 seconds, sometimes 40 seconds, sometimes, I beg for 30 more seconds, 10 more seconds.
Great, wonderful. So now I would like to know what is your dream India? क्योंकि आप इंडिया के बारे में बस मुझे लगता है कि आप किसी के you don't take side. You talk about what is good for India. So what is your dream India?
Well, I think it's the same as what millions dream, to be very honest with you, to be a developed country, to be a rich country. Because no one know, even the richest guy, Ambani, Adani, they don't know about their psyche. But richest guy, they don't want to live in a society where there is such huge disparity of wealth, and outside their, palace, there are people starving on the road. Nobody wants that. People want the nation to progress. People want everyone to think like we are thinking. That we have. Uh, why are we talking here right now? Because we have food on the table. We are certain that our next meal is. We don't have to worry about that. So we are spending our energies in thought processes and science and literature and talking and all that. Millions upon millions of Indians don't have that luxury. They have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, and that is very tragic. And I think, but that is something that can be rectified. It is not something which is you require an Einstein to think of that. These things, experiments have been conducted in how to make countries prosperous, and some experiments have failed. For example, socialist experiment has completely failed. Communism has completely failed. When they started doing those experiments, it was to elevate the nation and make everyone prosperous. But those experiments failed. But some experiments succeeded spectacularly. Capitalism, good capitalism, has succeeded with welfare. So it's nothing new. It's not my giving new mechanisms or routes to make us prosperous. I mean, it's really it would be redundant because it's been done before. The tragedy is that we are not doing those. That is the tragedy. The tragedy is not that we don't know how to become rich or prosperous. The tragedy is we know, and yet we are not doing it. Farm laws was a classic example. I mean, that it is so tragic. People have almost forgotten. Farm laws is one example. And, they were brilliant. They would have catapulted us to a middle income economy. Right now, our GDP per capita is, I think, $2,500 to $3,000, $2,500. It would have taken us to $15,000 maybe per capita within 10 years, 15 years. So I think, Nupur, the issue, as I was saying, was that um, we know what is to be done, and we know which experiments have failed. In science, you never repeat failed experiments. You never do, because and you will be castigated, you will be called a fool, an idiot. I mean, tell me one scientist who's repeating something that hasn't worked, others have shown. I mean, it's so absurd. Why would you even think of doing it? But in politics, all we do is repeat failed experiments. I mean, think about it. Communism has been relegated to the dustbins of history. Every nation that has taken up socialism has been destroyed from the inside. Venezuela, Cuba, all those Soviet Union, North Korea, everything that was trumpeted to be, bring equality amongst class, there'll be no class, and everything is junk. What has worked, people don't have the courage to emulate. Even now you see. So, and this government, I'm sorry, is the same, might be a little bit better than previous governments because it is good, it is more efficient in the last mile, the so-called connectivity. It has done um, things for, it has schemes for the common people that have delivered much better than the previous governments have. Uh, but on the other hand, there are things that are ideas that are leapfrogging ideas. I mean, I always take the example of telecom. I mean, we were decades behind the rest of the world in the 70s and 80s, if you remember. You wouldn't, but I remember because you are youth and I'm not. Just joking there. There would be a 1 year wait list to get a phone connection. I'm not joking. And you get that Bakelite phone with that rotary thing. Kids don't even know how does thing work. But you would be so happy. Same went with every other technology. And genuinely, when we were kids, we thought, I mean, when we, the 90s at least, we saw people using mobile phones and we still had those STD booths. We said, no, but then mobile phones came. And now India is at the forefront. This is what is leapfrogging technology. You for connectivity, you don't need real wires anymore all around India. So, like that, there are so many leapfrogging technologies that we should emulate, that we should do those experiments. But because of fear of losing elections or populism and all that stuff, we are not doing that. Farm law is a classic example. It is such a tragedy, and I don't know, and I just give up because even okay, you can expect the political class to give up, and you can expect the executive to give up because they are subservient to them. जो वो कहेंगे मालिक वही करेगा. But even the Supreme Court gave up. Supreme Court was glove in hand, or hand in glove rather, with the nefarious element. They didn't want the farm law. It's a real tragedy. That is what annoys me. So my dreams are the same are for India as the same for millions of people. But unfortunately, the solutions that I want Indians to implement, the government doesn't have the courage to do that. Privatization, farm laws, so many other things, Land Acquisition Act, and this is how we move really forward fast. We have to leapfrog. You don't have time. Otherwise, incrementally, people take, oh, we have now climbed 3 positions more than last year. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Let's write 20 articles. No, that's rubbish. Let us jump 40 positions, 50 positions. That is how you change lives. Yeah, so that's the tragedy.
Exactly. So we need people like you. So Anandji, why don't you join politics? Why don't you join politics?
Well, let me tell you, if I join politics or a political party in the morning, I would be ousted by afternoon. There will be articles written on me by the evening, and then I would be banished, maybe even imprisoned by night. So this is a 24 hours thing. If week is a long time in politics, they say, when I join, it will be 24 hours. No, but I think politics changes you. And I 10 years ago, I would blame. I would be very angry at politics. Look at this corrupt. To be very honest with you, I have now started to identify them as a sect, as a class. This is what a politician does. This is what a politician is supposed to do. So I don't get angry at Arvind Kejriwal turning out to be a complete hoax anymore. I'll be very honest. 10 years ago, you read my articles. I praised him for a limited period of time. Then I saw through him. I saw through what his ideas were and everything. And then I was angry. But now I'm not. I take, I don't know, some kind of a devious, diabolical pleasure in him turning out to be the same as Lalu Prasad Yadav or to some extent, even Modi or Shah, they're all the same. The one person who is never homeless in this country, is the politician. You will always find somebody is removed from BJP, immediately joins Congress, from Congress, BJP, BSP. Every goon will find a place, and so if I enjoy, I love what I do. Politics is not essential for the development of a society, but it's very important, very crucial. I cannot bring a change. And I've been saying this to a lot of people, especially a lot of right wingers. They kind of somehow feel happy that this government is there. It is allowing, a groundswell. Things are changing on the ground. That's rubbish. Groundswell is again incremental. You want the change from top. I'm not a votary for bottom to top, top up. No, I want it from top to bottom. And you see any of the, now I jokingly I used to say Hindus are eighth class citizens. Now it's true. We are. I have listed out 8 reasons why. None of those 8 reasons can be negated or turned over or overturned rather by the people on the ground, howsoever good their intentions might be. I mean, you can collect 200,000 people, 300,000 people on the street saying, but will they be able to overturn the government control of Hindu temples? No. Modi will do it. Modi can do it. But that's the thing. So all those changes that we want, we have to stop this rubbish of, हम लोग कर देंगे ये ग्राउंड स्वेल होना चाहिए. That होगा तो 20 साल लगेंगे उसमें. Who has the time? उसमें जो सैक्रिफाइस, जो लोगों की लाइफ बर्बाद होगी, जो इंस्टीट्यूशंस बर्बाद होंगे, उनका क्या होगा? So it has to come from the top, and it is not coming from the top. And only politics will bring it from the top. हम जितना भाषण देंगे, हम सब जो करना, politicians they might listen to us grudgingly. They will not act. They will act on what gives them votes. Why would, I mean, for example, I say, you remove government control on Hindu temples. It is a much needed decision. It is something which is natural justice. Other religious faiths के place of worship आप control में नहीं रखते, उनका land आप control में नहीं रखते, ठीक है? वो lakhs of crores earn कर रहे हैं, अपने place of worship चला रहे हैं, अपने education institutions चला रहे हैं, उनके पास पैसा है. Hindus का सारा पैसा लूट के government रख रही है. So I say change करो. Groundswell कहता है yes, change it. Politician listens to it. Okay, he might think, yes, what Anand is saying or what others are saying, Jay Sai and everyone else is saying, so many others, PR Ramesh, so many. I mean, I'm just a small fry in this. Makes sense. But then he will be, a hand will be placed on his shoulder by maybe Modi or Shah. He'll say, क्या कर रहे हो भाई? ये पैसा आ रहा है, गवर्नमेंट के पास आ रहा है. ये इनकम टैक्स से इतना नहीं आता जितना यहाँ से आ रहा है. ये पैसा तुम वापस लोगों को देना चाहते हो? नहीं करो. वो डिसीजन किसका था? All what did happen to all our discussions? What happened to it? So things are going to be changed only by politicians. But here is the catch-22, as a classic catch-22. That is, you have to be mad to take this policy. But if you say I'm mad, then you're no longer mad, because only a rational person will be able to say that I'm not mad. Likewise, you need politicians to change the country. But the moment you become a politician, you will never take those steps that you promise you will. So
Exactly.
that's
So
the
you
way it
just
is.
said that you stopped being angry. मुझे लगता है कि आप enlightened हो गए हैं कि
Very true, very true. Enlightenment में आया है, थोड़ी calmness आई,
हाँ,
थोड़ी
क्योंकि
calm.
जब आप एंग्री होंगे तो किसके ऊपर, उसके ऊपर एंग्री होके क्या फायदा? You are hurting yourself.
Absolutely. And people
Right.
say, sir, आप डिबेट में जाके बीपी बढ़ाते हैं, करते हैं. पहली बात तो इट इज गुड कि मेरा बीपी बढ़ना चाहिए, बिकॉज द मेडिसिन आई एम हैविंग, मेरे को लो बीपी है, तो थोड़ा सा डिबेट में. बट आई हैव द fun of my life. I enjoy. I say what it's a great privilege to be able to say what, and people listen. A, that's an honor and a privilege, as I said. B, I take that job very seriously. I prepare for it. And when you prepare for a debate, then a kind of calmness descends on you, because you have thought about it logically and rationally. You have already been a devil's advocate of the points you're going to keep. You're not going to allow, and that is one thing that I do. I'm letting you into my secret. People say कि आपको कोई रिबट नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि मैं खुद अपने आप को रिबट कर चुका हूं. Before I bring my views in public, I've already thought of the counterpoint and have addressed them, or tried at best, as best as I can to address them. So I don't give opportunities to others to say that you are wrong, because I already have kind of, filtered through and found out that yes, I was wrong there, I was wrong there. Let me correct it. Let me so minimize the effort. I'm not saying I'm always right, absolutely not, but to minimize the effort of being found out. So I enjoy, I have great fun. I don't get outraged at all. And a lot of those people who are on the debate who might feel, public might feel, oh my God, they're like at loggerheads, they're going to kill each other. Absolutely not. I really like Tehseen. He's a very good friend. He's a very honest, he's very polite, and he completely disagrees with whatever I have to say, and I disagree with him. But off the camera or the thing, he's treated me to the lunch and to a lunch, and I always pull his leg, he pulls mine, but it's all in good spirit, you know. So
तो आप
it's
बोलना
great
चाहते हैं कि कैमरा के सामने कुछ और है, कैमरे के बाहर कुछ और है?
no, actually, no, because even on camera, I always address Tehseen as my good friend, and I have made it very public that he treated me to lunch. In fact, when the discussion was on Robert Vadra, I said I want to make a disclosure that I have had the lunch with the Robert Vadra's brother-in-law, which was Tehseen. So yeah, I mean, everything is open.
Nobody can hate you, definitely. Because whatever you
Oh,
say.
people hate me a lot. I know it, and it's okay. It's fine. Look, they are free to do it. But I would like to ask them a question. Please think it through. Think it through. Why you hate me? For what? What have I said that you hate? And if you truly believe what I've said that is hateful to you, we'll discuss. Till now, I cannot think of a single sentence that I have said, of course, logically and rationally, that other person has found hateful. I mean, tell me which is quoting something hateful. Twitter blocked me for 2 weeks for quoting a verse that it said was hateful. And I explained to them, I said, is quoting a verse hateful? Then they backtracked, because then they realized, 2 billion people will be after their throats. Do they mean to say that a verse is a hateful thing? So then they unblocked me and apologized. So people may think, offhand that what I've said is hateful, but tell me, it's not, that's the way.
So that is the point. You explain with logic.
By the way, I don't have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
So yeah, and there are many who run it, with my name. In fact, I got a message from someone who said, what the hell did you write on Instagram? How dare, I thought you were my friend, and how dare you say this? I said, what have I said? And then that lady, he said, you said this. I said, I'm not even on Instagram. How can I say so? Then I realized someone with Anand Ranganathan 72 is on Instagram and has, I think, 300,000 followers.
Wow.
So then I had to clarify that, look, I have on Twitter, I said to whom it may concern, I have never been, nor I wish to be on Instagram. And Twitter is bad enough. Instagram, so I'm not on YouTube. I'm not on Instagram. I'm only on Twitter.
So this is very good message for viewers also. Maybe many people are thinking that you're on Instagram or YouTube somewhere.
No,
I'm
not. And then after I put that clarification, that person, whoever was running in my name, immediately wrote in the bio fan page. But one should do that. One should not impersonate anyone.
Exactly. It should not happen. Yeah. So now we'll be ending with some rapid fire round. So I'll be asking some question. Your favorite food?
Mysore Pak, of course. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah.
But if I can say, there's a new thing that I've discovered. It's a tragedy that there is only one shop I think in the whole of India, and it is in Bangalore airport. It is the best Mysore Pak in not only in the world, on this planet, in this Milky Way, in this universe, and in the multiverse. And the shop is called Anand Street. And this time I went 2 weeks ago. They had something called the Trinity, the Holy Trinity of Mysore Pak, and they were giving small bits free. So I just stood there, pretended that every time I'm going there for 5 minutes, so they had the chameleon Mysore Pak, which is the authentic Mysore Pak. I'm just making sure any Kannadigas are not there around me. Then there is the They had the milk Mysore Pak, and they had the perforated. So if so, anybody gets a chance, please go to Anand Sweets. Nothing not related to me at all, and it has the best Mysore Pak in the world.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Wonderful. Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Umberto D. Vittorio Di Sica's Umberto D. Umberto D.
Okay, so anything
But
in
I have a
it,
list. I have
you
a
have a
list. So
list.
the
So one,
second,
two, three. If
yes,
you take the three names, then
yes. So one is Umberto D. Second is Subarna Rekha by Ritvik Ghatak, and third is Mahanagar by Satyajit Ray.
wow. Both are the second and third are Bengali movies, I guess.
Yes.
And your favorite song? You can take
My
two,
favorite.
three names.
Okay, again, list. First is Piya To Se Naina Lage Re by from Guide. Second is Mohabbat Bade Kaam Ki Cheez Hai from Trishul. And third is O Saathi Re Tere Bina Bhi Kya Jeena from Muqaddar Ka Sitam.
Wonderful. So all the love songs.
Uh, I think they're a bit. They have a lot of pathos in it. They're kind of human condition. I would say they exhibit human condition.
Okay. So the next one is definitely your favorite place. It can be anywhere in the world. It can be in India as
Oh,
well.
right. My favorite place.
Again, you
I
can
mean, I
take three
have,
names.
okay.
Three
I would say
favorites.
lab. I would say lab. You mean city?
Lab. Okay.
Lab, home, and
Anand Sweets.
Anand Sweet. That's right. Anand Sweet, Bangalore Airport. Correct.
So three places. Wonderful. Now this is a tricky question because you have read like thousands of books, I guess. But still, if you take three names, what are those? Three favorite books.
Okay. Now this is right. So first would be The Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck. That's number one. Number two would be Tobacco Road. I forget the name of the author, but it's really fantastic, absolutely stunning. And third would be, I think, collection. I mean, authors' works. I would say it's very difficult to pin one down. So I would say Naipaul and Ryszard Kapuscinski.
Wow. Wonderful. Then, yes, I'm going back to movies again. Your favorite
Mhm.
actor and actresses. Three, you can take. Three.
Okay. So favorite actor would be Shaumitra, who died unfortunately very
Yes,
sadly last year. Satyajit Ray. Uh, and nowadays you can't say actress, right? So another actress,
actor,
actor
actor,
is
yes.
Madhavi Mukherjee again. I mean, it's like dream. Then number two would be Wahida Rehman, and number three, I really difficult to say. I think people who I would really be giving away my age if I say Balraj Sani, so I wouldn't. I would say the Amitabh Bachchan of the 70s. Absolutely stunning. Brilliant.
So don't worry, you are a youth icon. So
I'm a youth icon. Okay.
you can take the these days from these days also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the foreign films, I would say Max Van Sydow. I mean, he was
Yes.
Bergman's favorite person to go to. Absolutely stunning. Uh, then there are so many. I mean, yeah, I think it's just they're very many. It's very difficult to pinpoint one or two.
Exactly. But you took Madhavi's name. Madhavi is very few people know outside Bengal actually, because he did
Yes,
not do any Hindi
such a
movies, I
style.
guess. But
Yes, she did. She did.
yeah. She was mostly the Ray's heroine. She
Yes,
was
yes.
mostly so that
Absolutely. I mean, I can't think of anyone who comes even close to. I mean, it's
Charulata.
impossible.
If you have watched
Charulata,
Charulata,
Lata, there's so many, so
so
many.
many. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think that's
Maharashtra.
a very good information for today's again youth. Still, you are the people really do. Don't watch these movies. These are really wonderful movies. Only Ray
Yeah.
can make those movies. And the Ritik Ghatak, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So now, can you cook?
Yes, I'm a very good cook, by the way.
Hmm.
Yes. So, because I lived on my own as a student and then extendedly outside India in the UK. So, yeah, I mean, I cook, I claim that I cook well.
So what will be like you will claim, so this is the best I can make.
Sambar, I make very good Chennai sambar. Yes. Although
Wow.
Vikram Sampath, my good friend, he caught me once. I didn't know the Tamil for drumstick, but he's a fake Tamilian. What does he know? But yeah, I mean, so sambar I cook very well. I make very well, and then Punjabi dishes also. So yeah, I mean, every chemist has to be by definition, a good cook because you need to add things to perfection. So
You
it
mix.
comes with the territory. Yeah.
Okay. So if there is any word, like it is in Japan very famous, like they always ask, like, what is your favorite word or words, some words. So what would be yours? Some words which actually you like or touch your heart or something like that.
I would say sorry and thank you are very underrated. I use them a lot. Sometimes, even when I'm not sorry or even when I'm not thankful, I use it. I think it should be used very freely. It should come in a normal thing. The other, so I mean, those are very generic. But I think one that I really like infusion of, and I really thought about it. And I thought it was so beautiful how somebody thought about it. Was that I mean I've always grown up with the word disabled, talking of people with disabilities. And then somewhere along the line, somebody changed it to differently abled. And I love that. I think that's so, they're not disabled, they are differently able. And every time, even though by practice I may mistakenly use the word disabled, I'm very apologetic if I ever done it because I've truly imbibed that word. Now, I think it's one of the most beautiful words to have entered our lexicon that people who we think have disabilities no, they have different abilities, and those their abilities are better than our abilities. So, and it's a beautiful word. So differently abled, even though there are two words, but they're
Yes.
hyphenated, I would suppose. I think that's one word, two words that I would like people to really imbibe and stop using the word disabled and start using differently abled.
And actually, that is true. They have
Yes,
the different kind of ability, which actually we don't have.
absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's very beautifully explained. And you said sorry and thank you. Actually, the land I am in, these
Yes.
people every day they are just using these too.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. And sometimes if you don't, I mean, you don't even have to be truly sorry, sorry. You let it into your sentence. Say, sorry, I didn't get that. Thanks very much. It just comes very naturally.
Yeah.
And in fact, I learned it as a lesson. I must say, I mean, we Indians, although we're very warm, very emotional, but we actually don't use thank you at all. We don't use it. And I've seen so many people, even in the family and others, they, Are bhai ye dena, Are bhai wo dena, can I have that? Can you do that for me? They never end or begin, these demands or requests with a thank you. Never. I learned my lesson when I went, to Cambridge, and I asked for something, and I said, "Can I have that?" And that lady there said, "Can you end that sentence with a please or a thank you?" And I've never forgotten that because that was a lesson that I learned. And that's so true. It immediately makes the other person feel wanted. The other person is doing something for you. The other person is helping you. So you should be thankful to that. So that lesson I learned, and I would want my fellow Indians to kind of do that more often.
एग्जैक्टली
Yeah.
जब सामने वाला को भी अच्छा लगता है जब आप थैंक यू
अच्छा
बोलेगे
लगता
दिल
है
से,
दूसरे को अच्छा लगता है
दूसरों को भी अच्छा लगता है.
because we aren't thankful or we aren't kind of polite. So there's a difference there. We are not a rude nation at all. In fact, we go overboard. We are sometimes so warm that it can be to the extent of off-putting that, अरे भाई मैंने तो मदद नहीं मांगी तो क्यों दे रहा है? It's like that Govinda ad, somebody saying, अरे भाई क्यों धक्का दे रहा है? तो ले क्यों रहा है भाई? So, in that sense, I sometimes we Indians go out of the way to help others when that help is not required at all. And you feel like saying, I'm sorry, I didn't want this help. But so we are a very warm country, we're very emotional people. It's just that sometimes we don't express uh, thank you enough. We don't say sorry. We should add that. It would be better.
Exactly. And I'm sure that everyone whoever is listening and watching will start
Yeah.
using it from today itself. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
the 10th would be that your favorite country, definitely except India. India is definitely your motherland. So except India, your
Okay.
favorite country.
Except India, I haven't, stayed for extended periods in any other country except India and the UK. So I guess, the only other country where I've stayed for a very long period of time is the UK. So I would say that is my favorite country,
But still
other than
you
India.
you feel like I really want to visit that country. So which that country would be?
Uh, Again, that's very, I would say Bhutan. I would like to visit Bhutan. I would like to visit Japan. I would really like to. I really love the Japanese people. I really love it. Their sense of accomplishment is so great. And I think that is the reason why they're so humble. You know, as the saying goes, a tree that is laden with fruit, it bends. They know. They're so polite. They're never rude. And the culture is so incredible. The films, Kurosawa, and it's just an incredible country. So warm. Of course, being a vegetarian, I don't know whether I would, have issues in Japan, but I think increasingly not. So but it's Japan is one place where I would really like to
And Japan is waiting for you. Don't worry about your food.
visit.
I
Thank
will
you.
make vegetarian food for you. Don't worry.
Thank you very much. I'll make sambar for you. So
Yeah,
there you
that would be
go.
great. And the Japanese universities actually, um, they are waiting for you. And for your kind information, I would like to reveal here that I'm making a very big platform called connectindiajapan.com, which will be connecting
Right.
India and Japan like never before.
Oh,
So,
wonderful. Wonderful.
so
Wonderful.
please come to Japan, and it would be our honor to have you, all
It will be
the
my honor.
Indian diaspora.
It will be my honor.
So
Thank
last
you.
thing, it is education related. Like since you said that the Japan you'd like to visit, बहुत less students from India they come to Japan. Though Japan has a lot of scholarships, and they always go to either European countries or the USA. They never come to India. This is like the last choice. They're coming to
Mm,
Japan. So
yes.
how do you think we can just make breeds the bigger and better? Like people can be more attracted to Japan. They can take advantage of Japanese universities because they have really great lab and everything.
Yes,
How is
absolutely.
it possible?
I think in this it is Japan that has to reach out. Japan has to. I think Indians are especially students and more so the parents. Because now if you look at, we have a very robust middle class. Parents don't mind spending money to send their children abroad. Not only that, you can get education loans and all that. So it's very easy. I think Japan has to start go
Approach.
on an advertising, yes, approach that the food would be, people are of course very warm, that Indians know that already. But parents are apprehensive towards, the food, the language, all those things, the notions. But then again, I mean, so many Indians, they go to Ukraine, don't they? They don't know Ukrainian. And that's uh, a country that is not as hospitable as Japan is, or as warm as Japan is. I can certainly say that. So there, Japanese people and Japan, the government has to reach out and allay a lot of those very simple, common fears. And they will go away. When people, Indians say they visit Japan. I mean, you there, Nupur. I mean, it is such an amazing, warm place where people, their intellect and they're so polite and they listen to other person's opinion. And in science and technology, it is incredible. It ticks all the boxes. And so parents don't need to worry about that. The immediate common thing that parents thinks is food, lodging, language. These are the things, and these are not the ones that shape you. you know, and languages can be learned. Food is not an issue. So everything is right for Indians to kind of uh, what was it that the British said? I think in the 90s, the British invasion of California, or it was something like that. So yeah, hoping for an Indian quote unquote friendly invasion of Japan in the near future.
So I will send this clip to Japanese Ministry, Education
You must,
Minister.
you must, and please tell them how much I admire them, and I truly admire Japan and their sense of working for others. You know, it's just unbelievable. And if if India can take a teeny weeny bit of share or credit for that, it is because of Buddhism that reached there, and some of our culture and our values and civilizational values that the Japanese have imbibed and bettered us on those values. So there's always give and take. I mean, we can learn so much from Japan about our own values that we have forgotten. So please thank them on my behalf.
Definitely, definitely. And Anandji, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Not at
So
all.
viewers,
Real
today
pleasure.
I have got Anandji, so apna time aa gaya.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. And in
Bye-bye.
Japanese, like they say, arigato
Sayonara.
gozaimashita.
Okay. Okay.
Arigato.
Arigato.
Thank you, Anandji, and namaste.
Thank you.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.